I explained to her that there was nothing she could do. We were going to be getting a divorce. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Zone Stories. Today we have a story where this man found his wife's dark secret through his wife's sister phone. It's a complete story with an update. Let's see what really happened. I just found out my wife has been cheating on me for the past year. I've been suspecting her of something for a few months now because she's been telling weird little white lies. She's been super protective of her phone. And even when have been having bedroom activity the past year, something just feels off. Well, I caught her. Her sister logged into Facebook Messenger in my phone and forgot to log out. I went through their messages and what I found disgusted me. Luckily no pictures, but the way she was talking about these guys was so disgusting to me. And it's not even just one guy. From what I could see from the messages with her sister over the past year, she's had bedroom activity with at least 3 or 4 other guys. I suspect it's more though, and one of them she was seeing regularly for 3 months while I was gone, but apparently doesn't talk to him anymore. Most recently she had bedroom activity with some dude at a hotel about 2 weeks ago. I called one of my good friends, and he said I should try and gather my emotions and confront her once I'm ready and work through it, but I don't know if I can. When I look at her, I just feel empty. When she touches me and hugs me, I feel an anger and resentment deep down inside. I literally just feel numb. She was my first serious relationship, and we have been together for 3 years, and I don't think I can do it anymore. I feel trapped in my own house. I gathered tons of screenshots and saved them somewhere she would never find them before I logged out of her sister's account. I was going to wait until October to confront her because she is a key witness in a court case I have coming up, but it was literally eating me alive. I had called my dad and talked to him about it, and he brought up a good point. She had made a written statement under oath about what had happened already. So upon realizing that, I decided it was finally time to confront her. It had only been a week since I had found out that I decided to confront her, but it was honestly one of the most uncomfortable weeks of my life. Every time I looked at her, I felt angry. Every smile I made towards her was forced and fake. Going to bed at night with her made me feel cold and empty, and worst of all, having bedroom activity with her made me feel completely and utterly disgusted with myself. I had only done it like once or twice, and then made an excuse every single time after that to not have bedroom activity with her. I was literally dying on the inside. The morning of the day I confronted her, she actually accused me of cheating on her, and all I could do was look at her and burst out into a fit of hysterical laughter because of how ironic the situation was. It did nothing to help my case, but I left my house for a good 45 minutes to make some phone calls. That's when I called my father and decided now was the time. After calling my father, I had decided to contact my wife's sister because back in October, she had tried to get a hold of me about something important she had to tell me about my wife. Back then, I had thought it was just some dumb excuse because she's a notorious liar and thief. But after what I had seen, I had thought that perhaps it was genuine. After contacting her, she actually warned my wife. So my wife called me, and I told her I would be home shortly to confront her. I pulled up into my driveway, slipped an audio record into my pocket, and turned video recording on my phone, and put that into my breast pocket, then walked inside to confront her. I was cool, calm, and collected, but on the inside, I had no idea what to expect. This woman that I had been with for years had turned into a completely different person in the past 6 months. I had confronted her by saying, "How long have you been cheating on me? How many people have you cheated on me with? And why did you do it?" She tried playing dumb at first, but then I started quoting things she said in messages to her sister and naming off some of the guys she had cheated on me with, and her mood instantly changed, and I saw that tears started to well up in her eyes. I asked her again, and she refused to answer until I told her how I found it out. So I told her about how I had went through her and her sister's messages. She instantly started crying, and I still don't believe half the things she told me. She said it had only been with 2 guys, but the messages I saw suggest it has at least been 3 or 4 different men. She also said she had not cheated on me since March, which I called her stop it, because there was a message about how she met up with a guy at a hotel literally days before my birthday. Her reasoning for doing it was probably one of the worst excuses I have ever heard. She told me she was afraid of moving so far from home and did it out of weakness, and her second reason was because she had not been with someone physically prior to me. I told her those were the dumbest excuses I ever heard, and that we would be getting a divorce, and she broke down and started bawling her eyes out, and begging me to stay and that she couldn't lose me. I didn't cry. I didn't yell at her. I didn't call her any names. I just stared at her as she cried, absolutely disgusted with the woman she had become. I explained to her that there was nothing she could do. We were going to be getting a divorce, and that I would let her stay at my house for 1 or 2 months while she saved money to move. That lasted for about 10 days. Then I told her she needed to leave because I couldn't stand the sight of her anymore, and she went to her friend's house. The separation was cordial at first, but then she started doing things that absolutely made me angry. She would call my phone late into the night when she would know I would be sleeping to wake me up. She ended up developing this elaborate story that painted me as the bad guy, saying that I only married her to get extra money. And this was my plan all along, to marry her and divorce her once she was useless to me. She showed up one time at 1 in the morning to fetch her things, when I had been offering to bring her things to her all day. After that incident, I changed all the locks on the house. But what made me angry the most was she demanded me to sign over one of my 2 cars in a separations agreement, both of which I had worked extremely hard to pay cash for. She insisted she needed a car to survive, that she was entitled to a car since I had originally bought it for her, that she deserved the car even though I had paid for everything the past year of the relationship, and that she wasn't going to do any paperwork without me giving her the car. Out of anger, I let it drag on for a few weeks before speaking with someone about it. He explained to me that losing this $25,000 car would be worth it in the long run, especially since I have a sizable chunk of equity in my house that she isn't interested in, and she was also willing to waive all rights to alimony and post-separation support. The only reason I didn't want to sign the car over, even though it would be the financially responsible thing to do considering how much she was willing to lose for it, was because I had too much emotion and anger into it, and I had to take the anger out. I decided his advice was right, and now we have an appointment in a few weeks to sign the separations agreement. All she is getting from me is a car, and I'm getting everything else. Since leaving her, I've felt a lot of different emotions. I've been extremely angry and lonely. However, oddly enough, I haven't missed her at all, and haven't even thought about any of the good times we had the month and a half we have been apart. My house is an absolute mess, and I've been too unmotivated to clean it more than 20 minutes at a time. I spend a lot of my free time just laying in bed staring at the ceiling and walls. I got rid of all of our cats and dogs. However, for the first time in a very long time, I feel free again, like I can do whatever I want. Finding out she was cheating on me was just the icing on the cake. She had become verbally abusive, got into the habit of coming home drunk multiple times a week, and putting her hands on me when she was drunk. Hadn't helped me pay for anything for nearly a year, and became extremely irresponsible, and was constantly breaking things, losing things, and getting tickets that I had to pay for. So honestly, this is for the best. I'm not sure what will happen now or what I will do. Since leaving her, I've hooked up with multiple women I didn't even know for fun. One of them likes me a lot now, and she's a very nice and genuine girl. But I have no idea what to do. Went to clubs and bars for the first time, reconnected with old friends, and have attempted to get my life back on track. I don't plan to get married again for a very, very long time, if ever. I got married too young, and I've done so much growing up this year. From all I've been through, I sometimes feel disconnected from my peers, and I don't even want a committed long-term relationship for a while either. I made an appointment to see a counselor or therapist at the end of this month, cause not only am I dealing with the divorce, but I have heaps of other things going on in my life too. But I'm not sure if I need it. Edit, literally laughing at all the people that are mad at me for getting rid of my pets. I rehomed them all to other families. Stop assuming I ended them. I made an adult decision and realized I wasn't in a position to care for them any longer. After cutting things off with my wife, I no longer had the motivation. Plus, I had 4 large dogs and 2 cats, which was too much for one person, especially with as much as I work. And to add on, she agreed to take one of the dogs and both cats, then randomly called me one day saying she wasn't taking them anymore, thus dumping all the responsibility on me. Her cheating on him with a blessing in disguise, because it finally gave him the push he needed to leave her. A spouse is supposed to be a helpmate, not a burden, and it sounds like that's all she was. Keep your appointment to see the counselor or therapist. It's better for you to have some help in getting back on track after something this major. At first, I was going to say it sounds like you're handling all of this incredibly well, but I became a bit less confident of that by the end. Particularly after you got to the part about hooking up with multiple women you didn't know, and having no idea what to do when one of them is very nice and likes you. That's something to talk to the counselor or therapist about, how to regain the ability to trust and emotionally invest in new people so that someday, when the time is right, you'll be able to commit to someone again. What you've just been through is incredibly difficult. It's a huge shock to your emotional system. It's normal for you to have trouble trusting anyone again after something like that. But normal doesn't mean that a professional can't help you work through it and find healthy, rational, gradual ways to build trust with new people in the future. You'll be fine in the end, but a counselor or therapist can help you get back to fine more quickly than you otherwise would. We've been together for 6, married for 4. We've always had our troubles like anybody, but our last 2 years on and off have been a struggle. And I've wondered if he's actually going to be my forever. I've always wished he just wanted to be around me more, or do more with me. He's always hanging out with his buddies for after-work beers or whatnot. But it's a few times a week, even on my days off when I wish he'd want to rush home to see me. I always feel like a lesser option, and like I always want more from him. I've caught him in a few lies when he said he was at a buddy's and was actually out drinking instead of whatnot. He's always been a bit of a sneak. He's lied to me before to keep things okay rather than admit the truth. This Sunday was D-Day. He went out to run errands and I got to thinking. He's pretty protective of his phone, always texting somebody. He shows next to no interest in me. I bought multiple pieces of lingerie over a month ago, telling him he wouldn't get to see them until we were using them. Nothing. It all started clicking together in my mind as I thought about it, and I got a familiar sick feeling over my body. So I went on his computer and started looking for chatting apps and found 2 conversations with 2 different girls going months back. From what I can remember, he's obviously flirting, telling them if they were here they wouldn't be able to keep their hands off each other. He'd take care of her. I saw one picture where one was in a bath and immediately felt shattered. I tried to act like everything was fine when he got back, but we ended up discussing a prior fight because he assumed I was anxious about that, and I still feel like he blames me for that without accepting much blame. But that's something else entirely. I couldn't help it and made comments about how a few weeks ago, I joked if he ever cheated on me, I'd end him than the girl. He responded with a shocked face and said, "Wow, that's kind of a lot." No, I would never. Why would you think that? Of course not, baby. You don't have to worry. That stayed with me, so I told him how that upset me, and he doesn't reassure me like a normal person in a couple would. He gets incredibly jealous about me working with male co-workers in my department, and will get very upset if I give anything of them a brief ride home, due to bad weather and neither of them have a vehicle. And I started wondering, people who worry are often projecting and doing something themselves. So on Sunday after the discovery and our talk, I waited till he fell asleep, checked his phone, found messages from a whole other girl. She wrong number texted him, and he took up a flirting thing and immediately asked to move her to his chat app 4 days ago. And dirty pictures he's taken that I've obviously never seen, so he didn't send them to me. I saw dirty pictures from at least 3 different girls from Snapchat. He knows I've been cheated on in every relationship I've been in, whether it was physically or an online thing. And I still can't believe he would do this. I haven't told him anything. I'm off work tomorrow, and I'm finally going to tell my mom. And I think that night I'll finally tell him I know. I think I want to leave. How am I ever supposed to trust him? He hurt me on such a level I don't think I'll ever be able to trust another person if I leave him. But I love him so much still. I wanted him to be my forever. We're married, I mean. It's breaking my heart to think of having to leave him, rip out life apart. We have no kids, and thinking of trying to take our dog from him, which I'm sure will be a huge fight, breaks my heart. I still love him so much and considered him my best friend. How am I ever supposed to do this? I have no idea how he's going to react or even how I'm going to react. I've only cried once, so I think I'm still in shock, but I feel sick every day now. I'm sorry. I think I'm looking for advice, I guess, or just a place to vent, since I haven't told anybody yet. I've been trying to give myself time to think before I blow it all up. I've been nauseous and hardly able to sleep since I found out. Coworkers asking me what's wrong, because I'm obviously depressed instead of my normal happy self. I went to check his phone again last night, and he deleted a bunch of conversations, obviously cleaning house. I happen to assume he might do this due to the nature of how he's always lied to protect me rather than tell me the truth. And I already have screenshots of these girls' usernames, the dirty pictures, and some parts of conversations I plan to confront him with. He would lie to get out of it, and I can only imagine how he's going to try to defend himself. I don't feel like I'm strong enough yet. I want my anger and disgust and rage to take over me, but all I feel is crushed, shattered, and disappointed in him to my soul. Thank you for reading. I'm sorry this was so hectic. I'd appreciate any thoughts or advice, please, and thank you. Cheating is always a messed up thing to do to someone. I'd suggest her get a secluded place and meditate for 2 hours alone. Try to clear her mind. After some time, when she is in a sound mind, confront him so she can decide her way forward to the situation, whether she is ready to leave or work it out with him. So you really have two choices here. One is to confront him, and if you choose to, go through a rebuilding process in your marriage. This assumes a few things, in that he also wants to salvage your marriage and will do what it takes. The other option is to just leave him and begin a new life. In this forum, there is an overwhelming amount of people that will push for divorce, and in your case, I don't think anyone could blame you. Having said that, you do need to confront him and have an escape plan with a lawyer ready to go. Again though, the lawyer will not push for you two to get back together, as it isn't in his or her best interests. If I was to try and reconcile, I would put in some ground rules like access to his social media and phone at all times. No more bar trips ever, making him call every woman right in front of you to break it off and apologize. Obviously you would drop this on him and make him do it right away so he couldn't prime the women he is having bedroom activity with. If any of those women had significant others, he would need to call and apologize to them as well. Assuming he has parents, he would also need to call them and let them know what he did, and yours as well. Lastly, his friends. They probably all need to go. He is hanging around the wrong people that would support this. If he had any reservations or didn't do what was above, then I would probably have to leave.